You're listening to Plant-Based Diary, the podcast where I share my thoughts and feels on all things vegan. And now you're here, let's go. Hi, welcome back to Plant-Based Diary. I hope you're good. I hope you're well. This week we are shouting out actress Evanna Lynch. You probably know her from her role as Luna Lovegood from the Harry Potter film series saga. Do you know what? I've actually never properly watched the whole of the Harry Potter films in its entirety. I watched the first one because I was a kid, and of course, like there was the first obsession, and I had the book. And then the second one I watched as well, and then the third one I just kind of started to trail off. So yeah, and I know people have said how amazing it is, and I don't doubt that at all. It's just that I've never really just got the want to sit down and actually watch all of them. And I know I will one day. So I can't even say to you what her character really is or does because I don't know. But that's where a lot of you will know her from, because a lot of people like Harry Potter, and I'm probably like the odd one out that hasn't watched it. So 11 years old, she went vegetarian, and that was her being opposed to eating animal flesh. And then 2014, she read a book called Eating Animals, and that spurred her shift into veganism, you know, not wanting to contribute to the suffering of animals and the violence that is imposed onto them, unfortunately. She co-hosted a podcast called the Chick Peeps around COVID times. And it's really, really cool, really interesting. I'd recommend anybody going to have a listen. Although I believe it's discontinued now. And she also co-founded Kind of Beauty. It's like a sort of beauty subscription box with, of course, cruelty-free beauty products, which is so cool and so needed. It's like making beauty ethically accessible, you know? Because you can go to your favorite beauty store and have to sift through the stuff that is vegan, that is not vegan. And then it's more effort for you to actually even want to do the work to find out what is vegan and what is not, or what's ethical, what's not, what's cruelty-free, what's not. And she uses her platform so often to be an advocate for a more compassionate, a kinder world, highlighting the ethics, highlighting animal rights. She recently teamed up with Generation Vegan, and they did a short film. She narrated it, sorry. And it's so adorable. It's called Sanctuary, and it's basically talking about the relationship or the bond between humans and animals. It is really, really cute. So I recommend you going and have a little peep at that. But yeah, no, she's a really cool person all around when I was looking into her, and it's really cool that I discovered her. So shout out to you, Evanna. So, in my diary today, we are jumping on a direwolf bandwagon. I saw this. When I first saw this, my first initial thought was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Like, there's a wolf that was extinct and now it's come back into the world after how many years? And they did this all with technology. This is so cool. This is so cool. But this was just me knowing nothing, just apart from it's a dire wolf that was extinct and came back in. I didn't know anything about anything. But my initial thought was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, like we have all of this technology and we seem to be using it in all these crazy ways. And so, yeah, it's cool that we're being creative with how we're using technology even more. But that, again, was my first initial thought. So we're going to be kind of looking into it, less about the who's, what, where, why, because there's so many videos on that. So I'd recommend you to go and look at them if you want to, but more so my thoughts and feels on it. Yeah. So quick breakdown. Colossal Biosciences, they're the company, group, team, whatever, behind bringing this direwolf, or these 3 direwolves, back into the world. Founded in 2021 by Ben Lamb and Dr. George Church. And their mission statement is:
through technological and engineering breakthroughs in biosciences and genetics, Colossal is accepting humanity's duty to restore Earth to a healthier state, while also solving for the future economies and biological necessities of the human condition.
Yeah. And their main projects that they're also looking to de-extinct are the Tasmanian tiger, the dodo, and the woolly mammoth. This is their thing. This is what they want to do, you know? Bring back these super old animals into the world and help the world heal. So anyway, the scientists, they sequenced the DNA from the fossils of direwolves, but they found out that direwolves aren't actually wolves because they split away from wolves 6 million years ago. And then because of that, that basically meant that they couldn't clone a direwolf directly. So they switched it up. They went to dogs, took dogs' DNA and used dogs instead. Of course, breeds that, you know, probably have physical traits that resemble more of a wolf. And then they basically started doing selective gene editing, which is like splicing the traits into the dog embryos. So like the fur, the skull, what else? Muscle development, all of these things. And then once the embryo is gene edited, that's when they put it in the surrogate so that the dog can carry this pregnancy to term. And then once they're born, they're kept in like controlled environments so that they can just watch their behavior, study them, etc. Blah, 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 blah. So they currently have 3, if I'm not mistaken. 2 were born last year and 1 was born this year. If I'm wrong, I'm just going to edit it on the screen. I can't be bothered to check right now. And their long-term goal was to basically create something like the direwolf to potentially rewild ecosystems. So there you have it in a nutshell. Again, there are so many people talking about actually the intricacies of it. So I'd recommend going to look there. This is just me sharing my thoughts and feels. Let's go. Now, as I was telling you earlier on, I'm like, this is such a cool thing. But then when it sat with me and I was thinking about it, I was like, hold on. These animals weren't around 10,000 years ago. What makes you think that they're going to be okay living in this world 10,000 years later? There must have been a reason for why they became extinct, right? Whether that was environmental, whether that was the ecosystem, whether that was the animal kingdom, the food chain, who knows, right? But there's a specific reason for why they died out. My question is, how is bringing them back into the world 10,000 years later gonna help? Does 2025 have the same ecosystem that they had back then? Does 2025 have the same food chain as they did have 10,000 years ago? Does 2025 have the same climate and temperature as these direwolves had 10,000 years ago? Like, how are we bringing these direwolves into an environment that isn't set up for them? Make it make sense. Like, I don't know, there's something that doesn't really fully click with that. And then it leads me to my next point. I don't know about you, right? But from the stuff that I've been looking at, they didn't create a direwolf. They created a whole new entire animal. And I feel like it's been marketed as a direwolf brought back into the world. But this isn't a direwolf. You couldn't clone a direwolf because you didn't actually have a direwolf. So you used a dog to carry it and mix it with dog traits. But a dog is not a wolf. Although dogs descended from wolves, a dog isn't a wolf. It's like, So it's kind of like just a whole mix of different races. And then my other question is then, who is this really benefiting? Is this really benefiting us as a human collective? I really don't think so. How is bringing in a direwolf, a woolly mammoth, a dodo going to save us or save the planet or save the world? It's like we're trying to bring in more clutter into the clutter that we already have. We cannot even look after the animals that we have on this planet. Bees are dying. Whales becoming extinct. The rhino, like all of these animals, we cannot even look after them. Like, what's going on right now is a proper mirror or proper example of how well we treat the planet and how we treat the animals. So just like, why are you like, oh, we're going to bring some more in? Like, how's that going to help anything? I think it's going to make the situation much worse, especially if we don't have the mindset to look after animals. You're just bringing in more mess, bringing in more noise. Even like having animals as domesticated pets, dogs, cats, we cannot even look after them. We have a dog or a cat and then we want to give it away to rescue because we can't look after it. Like, our mindset towards animals is not there personally to say, let's bring this animal into the world. Let's bring this extra species into the world. On top of that, let's bring this species, which is a whole new species, not an old species, into the world. It's just like, it's all messy. It's incredibly messy in my opinion. So Colossal has raised over 225 million, backed by people like Paris Hilton, the Winklevoss brothers, Sam Altman, he's a ChatGPT guy. And it's just like, 225 million's been, raised, but like, nah, I see more problems than I do see solutions with this. But we do have solutions that can be done, solutions that have been proven. Why don't we invest more time and energy into that? Why don't we invest more time and energy into the animal agricultural system? Why don't we invest time and more energy into the practices that we are currently doing to destroy the planet? It's really given shiny new toy, let's play with it, because the other toys that we had, we didn't look after it and we don't really want to deal with it or try to fix it, or we just want to get a new shiny toy. That's how I see this company. That's how I see trying to go to Mars or all of these other planets to colonize them. Like, why don't we just really focus with what we're dealing with now? Because nothing's saying that we can't stop the damages that we're doing. It's just a question of really, do we really want to stop the damages that we're doing? And I say this for the longest, nature will find a way to survive. We're the humans that are destroying it, and us as humans are going to not survive because of the planet. But I really strongly believe that nature will find a way to adapt and it will find a way to survive. And so it's a thing where it's like, we have to realize that we're the common denominator. We're the ones destroying the planet. So let's find ways that are going to have less impact and less damage on it. I really just see this company as bringing in more problems and more issues. Although it's pretty cool. But again, you're not really bringing back a species. You're just creating new animals. And then we're basically playing God. And we already play God as it is. We already see ourselves as the superior species. But we're playing God. So we're going to see very quickly how this turns into some dystopian Jurassic Park in 2030, 2040. Because it's just like, we don't know what we're doing. We think we know what we're doing, but we really don't. We really don't. And it's that sort of that ego, we know what's best attitude, energy, aura that we're given that really is not going to help us in the long run. So those are my thoughts on it. Bringing animals that were extinct many years ago back into the year that is 2025, where the ecosystem's different, the environment is different, all of these stuff is different, is actually also kind of borderline cruel, because it's just like you're bringing in an animal into a world where the environment is not at all set up for it. And so essentially you're going to be actually causing the animal more harm. And if it's not set up for the environment, it's more likely to not survive as long. And then if it's not likely to survive as long, then is it really fair bringing it in the world knowing that it's not going to live long because of the environment that is set up for it? And it's not like it's like, oh yeah, let's throw it into the wild, it can survive in the wild. Nah. It's not like it's animal kingdom friends that were also around that time are there and able to interact with it, or interact with it in a way that you can say it's going to go positively well. You just don't know. You just don't know. So it's just like we're using these animals as sort of like lab rats, test animals. That's all that we're using these animals for, to see how it can be done. Because if they did it with this direwolf, right? And let's say in a year's time, in 2 years' time, it turns out that actually this isn't working because they're mutating and the mutation is causing them to, I don't know, have a really negative reaction. What are they going to do? Try again? And now you're starting to go down that whole road of testing animals so that they can live in this world. But it's showing that it can't be done. So let's not use them as test subjects. And on the other side, say they do live and they do live well, etc. If they can't go into the wild, well, then what are you going to do? Just keep them in cages. Then again, here we are again, bringing more animal to just cage them up. A dire wolf, I'm sure, isn't supposed to be caged up. I'm sure a dire wolf is supposed to roam, as is a woolly mammoth, as is a dodo. But all of these animals are going to be caged up because they're going to have to be tested to see how they act, just closely monitored. But then it's just like bringing in an animal to just monitor it. Might as well just leave that animal alone. Let's just stop with nature, literally and figuratively. Let's stop it. Leave all of that alone. It's extinct for a reason. Would have loved to be there. Why don't we create a time machine, right, that allows you to go back? Or let's create some sort of like immersive thing that allows our body to feel like we actually are back there. That is so much better to do, right? Rather than trying to, I don't know, change the world by bringing back the past, because that clearly isn't gonna work in my opinion. Like Jurassic Park, Small Soldiers, all of these films were like, oh yeah, I've created the newest technology thing where, it's gonna be so cool. That's all we focus on. It's so cool. It's gonna be amazing. We're not actually thinking about the ramifications, because that's really what the blind spot is. We are completely oblivious to what could go wrong. But also we're oblivious to it is because that's nature for you. The most miraculous things happen with nature, and we think we've seen it all until we haven't. We think that we can predict it, and we think that we can know what's going to happen, and we can estimate and we can guess. But that's all that it's ever going to be, because all it's going to take is that one thing for nature to be like, we're doing it this way. And for us to be surprised and be like, oh, I never knew this was going to happen. Oh, of course, because it's nature. We don't mess with nature. But when we think we're playing God and we think we know it all, then of course we're going to be blindsided by all of the unpredictabilities and all of the things that we couldn't even try to imagine, because that's nature. Nature's always going to win. Nature's always going to trump us as human beings. So anyway, there you have it. Let's take it to If You Know, You Know, and we'll be back.
Welcome to If You Know, You Know. What am I? Tiny but mighty, I pack a sweet punch. No peel and struggle, I'm perfect for lunch. Unlike my cousins, I'm easy to split. Juicy and tangy, my taste's a hit. In a citrus fam, I'm the smooth one. My skin's so thin, I'm second to none. Packed with vitamin C to boost your defense. I will keep you healthy, no need for suspense. What am I? Stick around to find out. And don't forget, if you know, you know.
As always, we'll drop the answers for you at the end. So, no culture trip today, and we're quiet on the letters. If you want to send me an email, drop one in, plantbaseddiary@gmail.com. So, Lulu dilemmas, anything, just drop them in, and I'd love to read them. What I do want to say is stay woke. With the whole thing going on with tariffs and China and USA, and China basically exposing that everything's made in China, which is no news actually, to be honest. But the reason I say stay woke is just because you can get your high-end designer bag for dirt cheap now because all the tea's been spilled. Don't forget that animals are still dying. And I was thinking about this, like, because people can now get it for cheap, I'm sure that demand is going to kind of go up. But then if demand is going up, then that is funding and supporting a system where animals are being skinned alive in certain instances. I talk about this in my episode a few weeks ago, so have a look. Just think about it. I mean, animals are still being killed. Leather is not a byproduct as like people want to think. It is not sustainable. All of these things are still worth considering. Just think about it. Just something for you to keep at the back of your head. And before I leave you, that if you know, of the week is tangerines. Indeed. Who doesn't love a good tangerine? And that's that.
So there you have it for this week. Thank you so much for sticking around. I love you. Be kind, stay curious, and I will see you next week.